Monday, March 3rd. This is Gabe Eltaeb. This is Big Man Comics Live. Guys, welcome in. I'm working on another page of inking for the Unstoppable Tyrus. I hope you guys are all doing great. What is going on in the world? It's always interesting. Trump world. That was very funny at the end of last week, how he gave that Zelensky clown a spanking. America first. Ukraine is not our problem. You know, that's just how I feel about that. It's nice to have an adult being our leader. And I guess last night was the Oscars. I don't care. I'm not into that stuff at all. I love a good movie. Who doesn't love a good movie? A great narrative. But I am not into liberal shitbirds mocking our country and culture and all that. No, thank you. No, thank you. So yeah, that's how it's going for me. How's it going for you guys? Nicholas Hardick says, "Happy birthday, Matthew March." I wish Matthew a happy birthday early this morning. I gave him a text. I think he's 53. My pal, my good, formerly British, now full-on American friend is a 53-year-old now. But yeah, we were supposed to have him Friday, and about 10 minutes before I was gonna go live, he gave me a phone call. He rang me on the telephone and said he was driving over to the Blaze. The Blaze is near where he lives. You know, so he was going in the studio on the Blaze. So there you go. I don't blame him for taking that because that's, you know, mass media and stuff like that. It's good for him. But, you know, we'll get him on sooner or later. We're all very, very busy. But, yeah, this is going quite well. I'd say, I think this is page 54 out of 120. Now what is 125? This was originally a 120-page book. I punched up one scene. I wanted more pages, more action in this one scene that was very pivotal, so I added 5 pages to the story. I haven't written them yet. I added them in my head. So that'll be coming. So but yeah, it's going well. What's the latest with you guys? I told you one thing I want to emphasize going forward is you guys. I want to have you guys feel like you're a community here with me. I hate that left-wingers ruin those words. Our community. But really, like Big Man Comics and just what we're trying to do here in the culture war. You know, there are people who I think, I call them scoffers. They like to downplay things. They like to pretend things don't matter. Oh, it's just video games, dude. It's just movies, dude. Like, no, it's culture, and culture will drive, it will drive voting, right? Politics is downstream from culture. It does matter when people watch and consume filthy filth and horrible messages. It will persuade them to vote stupidly and destructively. You know, like where do people learn what they think? They learn it. Their opinions are assigned to them from culture, believe it or not. Most people do not form their own opinions. They are told what their opinions are. You'll see the latest outrage, what people are talking about. Well, why weren't they talking about a week before the news told them they cared about it, right? And it happens to all of us to some degree. You got to, you know, keep your eyes peeled, stay awake, and try not to get, you know, hypnotized by this stuff. But yeah, the culture war absolutely is the biggest war. That is everything. The culture war is what is the preface for the actual political war and all that. And I would say they're the same thing. Like, what's really the difference? Politics is culture, right? That's where it comes from. Your politics are your culture. You believe in this set of morals and values, and this is what's important to you. So you vote accordingly. So yeah, so you guys are part of that. You are part of the culture war that I choose to engage in on a daily basis. And I just kind of roll my eyes at the scoffers, like, whatever. You want to be weak, you want to be afraid of things, you want to downplay it and act like it doesn't matter and it's not happening. Okay. Well, then, you know, when the crocodile eats you, don't come crying to me. You know, when it eventually gets around to you, I don't want to hear it from you, you know, if you're gonna play it that way. But guys, hit the like, hit the share. Let's get this out there. Let's be the Big Man Comics. Let's be those culture warriors every day. Happy warriors, right? We're happy because we have this good entertainment that I'm making for you guys, having fun. I have your amazing support, so we work together. It's, you know, it's symbiotic, right? It's a great relationship. So, but yeah, this is page 54 of the Unstoppable Tyrus. I'm cruising, baby, cruising. I still have many pages to go. Still got miles to go, but we're on a great schedule. I should do 20 to 25 pages a month, fully illustrated here. And that puts me finishing in the end of May, beginning of June sometime. So I will have the book done before Comic-Con. I don't know if I'll have it printed or anything like that, or the crowdfund before Comic-Con. I would like to, but I won't rush it. I don't want to do a bad job. I don't want to stress myself out by working extra long hours and days and nights that I don't have to. You know what I mean? I'm the publisher, right? So it's up to me. So the only thing that would push me to hit a certain deadline is if I had already promised it and like you guys had given me the money way beforehand, right? Then I would feel a lot of pressure. That's part of the big reason I prefer to. I take the risk and I get the book done. Then we crowdfund it after I take the risk. You know what I mean? There's nothing about crowdfunding that says what order that has to go in. So I'm fine with taking the risk because I believe in my products. I believe these are excellent. I don't think in the entire indie comic sphere you're going to find any better than what I do. I think I am the best at this, absolutely. And that's not to say other people are shit or they suck. I just think I'm the best. Other people can be great, but I think my stuff is head and shoulders the best stuff. So could you and Jericho do a roast of the old Captain America made for TV show in the 70s? If we can find it, there's a Captain America TV movie. I don't know about that. I never heard of that. I know there was a Captain America movie where instead of cutting holes for his ears to stick out of the cowl, the helmet thing, they had rubber ears, which I kind of find amazing. Why have rubber ears when you can just have your real ones? That sounds like a really dumb slogan. But yeah, anything. I love horrible, funny movies, like so bad it's good. That's when I do the show with Jericho. That's my favorite stuff to review. I like reviewing the amazing movies that are just awesome and everyone loves them. But to be frank, I don't have as much fun reviewing those. We have fun. We find a way to make it fun. Like whatever, we make the best of anything we're doing. But it's easiest to review the movies that are awful but hilariously awful. I watched one last night that got off to a good start and ended up being bad. I'm on a Roger Moore James Bond kick because I don't know Roger Moore's James Bond. So I wanted to see it. I want to know, what is this about? Sean Connery is outstanding. He is the legendary James Bond in most people's opinion. But I saw someone online say that Roger Moore was actually the best James Bond. I'm like, what? I'd never seen his movies. Let me check them out. So I saw the first one, Live and Let Die. It was interesting. It was good, I thought. It was pretty good. And then I watched The Man with the Golden Gun. And boy, did I was impressed the first half hour, and that turned into a stupid movie. I mean, he's fighting a midget at the end on side of a stolen junk, one of those boats that are in Hong Kong Harbor. And I love so many things about the movie, but on the sum of the parts was not great for The Man with the Golden Gun. Christopher Lee has a third nipple in that movie, and that's important to the plot, apparently. So I don't know. It was something, that movie. But you could really feel the psychedelic, baby boomer culture of drugs and rebellion and subversive. You could really feel it in that movie, though. It was something bizarre. Yeah, it wasn't good. I was really jazzed. Like the first half hour, I thought it was going to be really good spy stuff. And there was this sunken British military ship in the Victoria Harbor there in Hong Kong Harbor. And then the Brits were using it as a secret spy base to kind of talk to James Bond and have some meetings there. And I thought that was outstanding. And then there was some stuff in this movie that was so dumb, it was boring. The whole thing with the Louisiana sheriff with the thick Cajun accent. I'll tell you what, boy. And he's got about a half a pound of chewing tobacco, some chaw in his mouth. It was brutal. And you could tell it was just executive stuff. Like, oh, it'd be funny if this, add this to the script, add this. You could tell it was too many cooks in the kitchen because there were parts of this movie that were so dumb. And then not only were they dumb, they didn't advance the plot or the character development in any way. And I thought that was telling that feels like studio notes. For those who don't know what studio notes are, is when you work for these companies, you'll write your script and this and that, and then you'll get notes. And the notes are from the managerial class. And these people are largely untalented, failed writers who don't know what the hell they're talking about. But they have the power to tell you, you should put this in and you should put that in. And it's usually shit. And when you watch a movie, that's usually why a movie sucks. That's always why a movie sucks, to be honest. Because if you think about a chain of command, the buck stops here, right? The buck stops with the leadership. So even if the actors and the writers were doing a bad job, it's still the boss's responsibility to straighten them out. There's a saying in football that I love: you're either coaching it or allowing it, right? So when things are going bad on your team, your football team, or when things are going bad in your comic book or your movie or your TV show, sorry, it isn't just the performers, it isn't just the football players, it's the coach who watched the players do that bullshit and doesn't do anything about it. That matters too. The buck stops with the leadership. So yeah, heavy is the head that wears the how does that go? Heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? If you're the boss, then the buck stops with you. So that matters. So whenever you see a movie and the stuff sucks, it is the whoever was the final boss, whoever had the say so to give the thumbs up or the thumbs down. It's their fault. You don't get to be the boss, get all the prestige and the power and the money and all that, and then oh, it's not my fault. Well, then if it's not your fault, then whose fault is it? So. But yeah, did anyone watch the Oscars last night? Did anyone? Because I don't know anything about it. I know the Oscars. It used to feel like America was a team. It used to feel like maybe he's left wing, maybe he's right wing. We don't talk about it too much, and we're all Americans in the middle, so we all like that about each other. And it just feels so bifurcated now, so hateful and divided, and the hatred from Hollywood emanating off there towards regular patriotic Americans is insane. It's totally insane. You can just feel it, and it makes you resent them and go, you know what? I don't want to go to your movie. Fuck you. Yesterday I was kind of stressing in an ungrateful way yesterday with my wife. We ran some errands. It was boring, this and that. And I work 6 days a week on this book. I'm drawing 6 pages a week. And I really wanted to relax. We were joking. Me and my wife, like, I need some excitement in my life. And it's like going to Walmart and buying my granddaughter some Crocs, going to this store and that store and like just doing some boring errands. And I was joking with my wife, like, it's enough excitement. Let's just head home and rest. And, what the fuck was my point about that? Lost my train of thought because I read something on the screen. Mom Seat says DC sucks and it's Jim Lee's fault. That's a controversial take. I mean, I guess the buck does stop with him. But, I know things, and I could talk about him one day, personally from working there, from personally knowing Jim Lee. I mean, I have his phone number, right? He's given me his tickets to go to the baseball game. He's the one who personally hired me. It's not like he's someone that I, don't know. I do know him. And there's a lot there, but I'm not gonna contradict myself. I do believe the buck stops with you if you are the boss. I do believe that. At Big Man Comics, the buck stops with me. If there's something wrong with these books and I hire artists, writers, this, that, and the other, it's still me because I'm the one paying and I'm the one saying yes and no. Janine Bilotti says, oh, they were on. I think she's referring to the Oscar Awards. But yeah, I don't care about that stuff anymore because I just feel offended and hated by Hollywood. I feel like they wish people like me and that have my beliefs didn't exist, weren't free, weren't allowed in this country, weren't allowed to be, period. And you saw it. Their actions speak louder than words. The last 10, 15 years of cancel culture tells you what they would like to do to you if they could, right? If given the chance, they would eliminate you in ways, whether that's destroying your business, your life, your bank account, taking your freedom. And ultimately, if you've ever read a history book, what the leftists like to do is kill people. They like to put them in gulags and kill them for disagreeing. And what do you think taking a man's job is? What do you think canceling someone is? It is killing them. It's symbolically killing them. It's not literally killing them, but it's, hey, if they could. Right? Because that's a destruction of a man's life, is taking his work. Because what else is a man besides what he's achieving? What else are you? So it absolutely, canceling is a symbolic murder, a symbolic of killing of someone because they had the wrong opinions and they had the wrong thoughts. They had illegal thoughts. And it's crazy that Europe has come to that. When J.D. Vance was giving that speech 2 weeks ago in Europe, and then one of those European guys was crying when he was like talking about it later, like, holy shit, dude. That we have people that think it's morally justifiable to silence silence people who disagree with them. silence their opposition through any means necessary. It's insanity. But again, that's how leftism works. And I'll tell you the problem for you. If you're anti-woke, the problem you have is you are typically conservative, libertarian, anti-woke, whatever. You're live and let live people. You're like, leave, I'm going to do mine. You do yours, leave me alone. And what you don't understand, what so many of you and myself in the past, but definitely not now, have gotten wrong is that's not who you're dealing with. These people aren't happy to do their thing, okay? They don't want your acceptance and your tolerance. They want your submission and servitude. They want their dominance over you. It's not enough to tolerate them and anything they believe. You have to then endorse it and worship it and ultimately worship them. That's what it's about. And any dissent will be severely punished to the extent of power they have. Again, read a history book. Look at what leftists did in Russia, in Cambodia, in China. Look what they do everywhere they go, right? That's who these people are. The Mobsy. How could Jim Lee allow Superman to reject patriotism? Well, I wrote to Jim Lee when I walked away from that company. And I gave it to him. I read him the riot act via text of, how upset I was with him and what was going on. And he was polite, didn't argue with me, and said, when we're in less divisive times, we could talk about this. That was, 2021. That was the last time I really spoke to him, And that's what he said. When we're in less divisive times, we can talk about this. So, I don't care enough about his opinion on it to talk to him about it. Well, what do I care? What do I care what he thinks about it? I know what he thinks about it by watching what they do over there, And I'll tell you this, getting involved in the Hollywood companies, there's an allure there. You can feel it. I've been to Hollywood many times. I've spent time there. My daughter performs comedy there. I'll be up in Hollywood again soon for another comedy show of her. She's a great stand-up. And there's an allure there. It's an evil feeling. It's an evil good feeling. You could feel the seduction of Hollywood, the glamour. You're one of the quote popular kids. You've got insane money. People worship you. Like there's a seduction there. And a lot of people in the entertainment industry, they fall for that because it does feel good. It does feel good. But you have to understand, drugs feel good, but they're gonna kill you if you keep taking them. Like just because the concept that something feels good is not the heuristic of whether you should do it or not. That's foolishness. Just because if it feels good, do it. I remember when I was a little boy, my mom preached to me against that. She told me that concept had taken prevalence in the 60s when she was a young person and to not listen to things like that, If Hollywood made a magic button to vaporize the non-woke, I'd be real nervous. Yeah, well, they'll never be able to do it because the way they work, they'd hire DEI instead of real scientists who could never develop a device like that. So you don't have anything to worry about. Because I saw their award show, their ceremony where they pat themselves on the back. The Oscars, these ridiculous idiots praise themselves for being actors. They have like DEI requirements to win an Oscar. So your movie has to have, 9.8.76% LGBTQ plus whatever, acting, writing, this, that, and the other, in order to qualify for being the best picture. And that's not how anything works. I mean, again, in the masculine world, we'll take athletics, right? Who wins the Super Bowl? Who wins this? You don't win because you were this, that, or the other. You win because you scored more points. You were just objectively better. And that's it. You don't say, well, this Chinese guy was the fastest swimmer, but we need to give an award to a black guy for swimming. So I don't know. That's just, I don't know why that bothers me. I mean, I do know why it bothers. It bothers resentful, entitled people who have a God complex, that they are the best, and it doesn't matter if they've earned it, they should have it. And that's antithetical to everything that good people believe. It is. If you believe that stuff, you're not being moral. You're being completely immoral. You shouldn't believe that the people that don't deserve it more than the people who have bled for it, who have earned it. That's just, you're not a good person if you believe that. You're being a horrible person, and it's truly evil. But I saw someone say about resentment the other day that it was the spirit of Cain. So in the Bible, one of the first stories is Adam and Eve's first two sons, Cain and Abel, right? And they give offering unto God. So they take the first fruits from their fields, right? They're farming, vegetation, fruits, perhaps. I don't know what it was. And then they take 10% of it, I believe, and they put it on an altar and they burn it. And as the smoke goes up, they pray and say, here's my offering to you. Thank you for providing for me, God. This is an offering of my first fruits. And Abel did it with the utmost care and respect and stuff like that, the way that it was prescribed to them to do. Cain did not. And Cain, for whatever reason, could feel that God was not as pleased with him. So instead of saying, hey, I'm not doing it the way that I was told to do it, so I'm not getting the praise and that, I'm not getting the same good result as Abel, I should switch to what Abel's doing. That's what a normal, healthy mind would think. What he said is, I hate Abel. I hate that he's getting this. He shouldn't get it. I should get it. And he took a rock and bashed his head in. Now, if that doesn't sum up leftism, I don't know what does. Because leftism isn't, oh, this other person's doing better than me, I should copy their technique and be disciplined or hardworking or whatever like them. Leftism is, hey, I could just be the way I am no matter what, and I should have the same rewards as this other person that's doing more hard work and discipline than me. So I'm going to kill them. I'm going to do something to destroy them, because how dare they have something that I don't have? Instead of having the morality to go, I should work for what I want like the other person did, they're like, no, I'm going to take what I want to force because I hate this other person for having it. So I think leftism, communism, I think it'll always be with us, this concept of the evil, resentful people. And it is the spirit of Cain. I thought that was very astute to hear someone say that, It's a very interesting theory. So, because I don't think any of this stuff is the physical material world. I think all of this stuff is the spirit world. I do. You know what I mean? I think it's all, we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, right? I think all of this is spiritual. I think there's demonic stuff with a lot of these people, like really awful things going on. I won't give them a pass and say the devil made them do it. I'm not going to blame the devil for their act. Like, human beings have a free will. Like, if you do evil, that's you. You own that. That's on your name. So, but yeah, I do think this is a spiritual, psychological battle, and I think there's just people just filled with resentment. They just hate that other people have things that they don't. And they say, why should they have it? I should have it because reasons. Because I'm me, I should have it. And I don't like that at all, because, it's evil, but it's hateful too. So let's see. The mob sheet says there's two ways to win a race: train harder or trip the other runner. That's it, right? That's the spirit of Cain, I believe, is the trip the other. If I train harder and beat you fair and square, how could you be mad? You should shake my hand and show me respect. Like, yeah, you trained harder, you got me this time, I'll get you next time. Like, to me, that's masculinity. That's how I was raised. That's the concept I have is, okay, if I want to beat you, then I need to earn the victory. I can't just have it because I want it. That's not how things work. Because again, that's anointing yourself God. That, like, you become this Aladdin magic genie for yourself, right? I snap my fingers and I make it so for myself just by will. And that's not how it works for human beings. We can make things so by hard work, and then you got to have, God's blessing, or what some people will call luck. You got to have the circumstances beyond your control turn out correctly for you. And but what you can control always is your effort. You can always control that. So yeah, but I thought that was a super interesting thing for someone to say the spirit of Cain is what that is, of hating his brother. I mean, who are you supposed to love more than your brother? Who are you supposed to be loyal to more than your brother, right? The brother is the human standard for loyalty, brotherhood, right? That fidelity. That's a thing. I feel sorry for women, because I know they don't have the friendships we have, because women are always directly competing with each other. And men are, men and women are mirror images. So everything women do, men do, but we do it in reverse. Like a right hand and a left hand. They're identical, but they're reversed. And I see women and men that way, that yes, they have the experience we have, but they have the reverse experience. So, and instead of working together as brothers and all that, women work to backbite, backstab, and all other forms of treachery against each other. And it'd be funny if it wasn't so sad. But yeah, women are constantly trip the other runner. That's a woman's mode of operating. You'd look great with your hair cut short. Ladies, if some woman tells you that, they hate your guts. Okay? They hate you with a passion. And you know this shit too, women. You pick up on it faster than we do because it's your language with each other, all the passive aggression. As men, we only find out about it later in life. We find out about that once we grow up, the secret war that women are having the whole time with each other. We're not even aware of it. The gossiping, the ostracizing, the dirty looks, the rumor, the innuendo. One of the grossest things is when men start doing that, engaging that behavior. Because with women, it's understandable. Whatever, that's their nature. I don't like it, but it is their nature. So what are you going to do? But when men pervert their nature as men, and they stop being direct with each other, and they start gossiping and backbiting, all that is sickening to watch. Because for men, it's so pathetic to watch them be that way. You know, again, for women, it's understandable. But for men, it's unacceptable for men to act that way. Yeah, you want me to be like really disgusted with you as a dude? Act like a chick, act like a middle school girl, just mean girl stuff. And you're a guy? Come on, dude. But let's see. Yeah, I do like what you said there, Mob Seat, though. 2 ways to win a race: train harder or trip the other guy. And yes, the leftist, the communist idea is trip the other guy. It's amazing what's going on with Trump, but what's really got me concerned, and we should have more gratitude, but it's hard to because of what we've been through the last 15 years with the globalists trying to destroy the West. What happens when he leaves? And I know it's so early to be saying that, and we need to enjoy our victories more, but my goodness, what's going to happen when he leaves? Will the next election be stolen by the left? Will that? Because look we thought we had something with him the first time, and we did. And look what happened after he left. They went full crazy communist stuff like that as much as they could legally in this country. And it was terrible. It bore horrible results for so many people. The economy's still busted. I love people saying, "Oh, Trump's president now. Where's the price of your eggs?" It's like, well, it's going to take longer than 5 weeks to fix years of nonsense. 12 years of horrible leftist Democrat rule with Obama and Biden together with the little blip of Trump in the middle for 4 years. It's going to take a bit longer than 5 weeks to fix the shit they threw everywhere in our culture. But it starts in your home, guys. It starts in your home. Yeah, you can look to the government and look to Trump, this, that, and the other, but save yourself. There's again that Bible verse. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, right? So don't just look to well, I'll just sit here and twiddle my thumbs and hopefully Trump will take care of everything. He's going to do what he can do, but he can't do everything. And there are people working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? To stop him and to subvert his and our agenda to be free. That's all we want. That's all we want is to be free and control our own lives responsibly, not control my own life pleasure-wise. Like, oh, yes, I'm going to do all the degenerate things because that's what freedom is. That's not freedom, by the way. That's bondage. That's bondage to sin and pleasure. You're a slave. You're not free when you do that. When you do whatever you want, you're not free. You are a slave to your animal impulses. You're in total bondage. So we'll see. But I feel, we all feel the cultural shift. One good thing is telling leftists always to F off with you're a racist, you're a Nazi. Like, just, like that doesn't work anymore. That time is over. So it is funny to see the Europeans have their meetings all weekend of, we stand with Ukraine and we're this and we're that and we're going to pledge all this money. And maybe it's time Europe defended itself and didn't rely on Americans yet. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe we foot the bill for Euro trash long enough that want to mock us and say that we're no good and this and that. You know what? Why don't you pay for it yourself? That sounds like a great idea. I actually completely endorse that. So yeah, I'd love to see you guys just pay for yourselves and keep more of my tax money over here. And if you guys want to let the third world into your country to blank and pillage it, well, I'll think you're pathetic and disgusting, but I can't stop you. It's your country. They're your nations, and they were once beautiful and powerful and commanded respect, and now they should be derided. They should be ridiculed. I've never been to Europe, but it looks pathetic to me on the whole. Not completely, but like it looks really pathetic what they allow to go on over there. And I'm glad Americans, as usual, we had the character to do something about it, right? We had the character to say, no, we're not going to go that way. We're gonna vote for something else. This is not American. This is not who we are. So, yeah, I do wonder. I guess it's confirmation bias is what it is. Because I was like, how do people get these notions of the virtue signaling and the leftism and all that, and they really believe it? And I realized, like, well, it fits in like a glove, right? It fits in perfectly to be told, hey, you know what? There's oppression and evil in the world. We can all agree on that. And you're a hero if you're against it. Like, no, it would be good to be against oppression and all that. But the part where it gets turned is, and it's the white man's fault. And it's all racism and this, that, and the other. And you have to see that for what that is. What that is the politics of division. It's divide and conquer, right? Elites want to divide and conquer the normal folk because it'll help them be richer and have more power and have more money. Jim Bob says, hey, Gabe, hope you're having a great week, dude. I'm about to head to the gym for leg day. Just had to say hi. Let's go do it, baby. To me, for me, it is back and biceps day. So my split is back and biceps, and then chest, tries, and shoulders, and then legs. And I'm doing legs multiple days a week. A lot of that is walking. I'm 46. I'm not going to be doing barbell squats or anything like that. That's not wise. I don't think so. For me, I don't even do barbell bench press anymore. I do dumbbells now. I go lighter weight, more reps. But yeah, get out there and lift. Again, and this is part of being responsible for yourself. Anyone who listens to me, one thing we do, big man comics, you're a big man comicer. That's what you guys are. You lift. And if, I'm no doctor, be careful, but you lift, you exercise. And I don't care if you get 1 pound dumbbells and lift them. I want you all to lift and make the time. Don't say you don't have time. Don't say you're too busy working. You got the kids, this, that, and the other. I got it all too. I'm writing, drawing, publishing, working out contracts, hiring freelance artists to work for me. Believe me, I'm busy. Make the time. If you don't make the time now, what's going to happen when you're old and the years go by fast? You don't want to be hobbling around. Imagine you work your whole life and you get to retirement age where you can really do some traveling and do some stuff, and then you can't walk correctly, or you got to bring some oxygen tank. You got to do all this shit, and it's your fault, because some people it's through no fault of their own. They're just afflicted by some disease, and it wasn't because of poor life choices. It was just the bad luck of the draw. But for what you can control it. And health is a choice in the grand sense. I know things just happen to people sometimes. It's no fault of their own, but wellness is a choice in the big view. So yeah, we're exercisers, we're lifters, we eat correctly. That's what we do around here. That's what I want you to do. And here's how you look at it. You got to frame things right in your head. You got to convince yourself with the correct persuasion, so it helps you do it more readily. Just tell yourself, I'm worth it. I am worth the discipline. I am worth the hard work. I am worth the misery that this causes to forego the brownies, to not eat the brownies. I am worth that misery. I am worth it not to get plastered drunk every weekend. I'm a teetotaler. I do love saying that word because it's such a funny word. It's someone who doesn't have a drop of alcohol. And no drugs, no smoking, no drinking, nothing. I'm a teetotaler. The only thing I would do, quote, bad with substances would be like some junky food. That's a once in a while for me. I mostly don't eat artificial foods or bad things like that. I used to weigh, the heaviest I ever was 316 pounds. Now, remember, I am muscular, big frame, and I'm 6'4", but 316 is still way too much. So I'm down to 260, 259, and we're going. The goal is 220. That was my high school freshman year weight when I was 13 or 14. Let's see. Always fake dragons to slay. The woke breaker is talking about the virtue signaling. Jim Bob says, excellent. We're talking about lifting. And the woke breaker said aloha to everyone. Just so you know, aloha. Mele kaliki maka. That's how you say Merry Christmas, I think. Jim Bob says he's 43 and I do it, but do what works for you, my friend. Absolutely. The woke breaker, 46, play volleyball, basketball, still definitely hobbling. Let's see. The mom sees crazy old man swing like Jack Palance. Yeah, do what you can do. Have experts, have doctors, all that. You don't want to fuck yourself up, right? Because your greatest ability is your availability. That's another football saying I love, right? Your greatest ability is your availability. It doesn't matter if you're mentally disciplined. If your leg is injured and you cannot run or exercise, then you can be as disciplined as you want. If you can't do something, you can't. So don't be a hero and hurt yourself. One thing about like life, that, and this goes for lifting, but we can extrapolate this to everything in life. In lifting, there's a thing called ego lifting. And that sounds what it sounds like. That is what it sounds like. You go to the gym and you put too much weight on the barbell because you know people are watching you lift weights, right? And you want to bench press 300 because the girls are there that day. And then you blow your shoulder out and then you can't lift weights for 6 months, right? Because you got to have shoulder surgery and blah, blah, blah. Hold on. Do not give in to the temptation of ego. Don't do it. Switch your ego to I validate me. I don't get validated externally. I validate me. I put enough weight on there to lift it, get a sweat, get tired, max it out, go lift to failure in a safe way. And I have enough ego to say I'm a disciplined person who isn't looking for other people's validation. That's how you should do that for yourself. And just, apply that to everything, right? So the ego lifting would be the opposite of virtue signaling. And you see the ego lifting all the time, and people get seriously injured. Look at what happened to Lex Luger. He went from a bodybuilder to a wheelchair by damaging his spine. Yeah, look at Ronnie Coleman. Lightweight, baby. And he's just hobbling around now. He would have, my friend Blonde, who's a big lifter, he said Ronnie Coleman would have like spinal surgeries and keep lifting like right after he's getting better and stuff like that. Now the poor guy is, using walkers and stuff like that. And that's just not worth it. I quit doing barbell bench press about 2 years ago, and just switched to dumbbells and lighter weight. And it feels like an ego hit somewhat, but you're like, dude, I'm not in the NFL. No one is paying me to lift weights. I'm doing it for myself and my family. I don't need to lift extra super heavy at home where no one is watching and no one is paying me to do this to my body and get hurt. And I was getting pain. Now, thankfully, I avoided injury, but I was starting to get pain in my left shoulder. It sucked, and it just starts to affect your life. So yeah, ego lifting, and then just think about that with everything you do, right? So you're doing stuff to win praise. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do things to win praise. You need to do things because they're right. That's why you do them. You do it because it's the right thing to do. Jim Bob says, agreed. Don't get too nuts in the gym. Yeah. And that, again, that's as men, we have egos, right? Like we want to prove ourselves, and then we like, and you can't deny you love the way the praise feels, right? But you got it. But it does. What did we say earlier? You don't do something because it feels good. You do something because it's right. That was a very important saying my grandpa would say to me when I was little. It was like, you do the right thing because it's right, not because it feels good, And the right thing often doesn't feel good because strength only comes through resistance. Again, we learned this in the gym. The reason that we are lifters here on this channel, that I want all of you to lift, even if it's seriously, if it's a 1 pound weight, I want, be safe, lift what you can. If you can lift a ton safely, do it. But the reason we do it is because of what it does to our mind and our spirit. Yes, it gives you physical strength. It makes you look better. It makes you feel better. But what it's doing to your spirit and your mind to be disciplined, to do the thing you don't want to do, is so good for you. And it will be comprehensive for your whole life. You'll be a better man. You'll be a better husband. You'll be a better father. You'll be a better businessman. You'll be better everything. If you do that, you really will. So I expect that all of you as we get after it. I'm going to get after it this afternoon. I usually go until noon, like I'm going with you guys here live. And then afternoon, I'll have some lunch. Then I'll go lift. And then I'll get back to work in the afternoon on this stuff. But yeah, I want you all to exercise. That's got to be a part of what we do. And life is short, and you have such beautiful moments with your loved ones. Why not make sure those moments are as long as possible? Why not make sure that we have as many days as we can with our loved ones? Because then you're just gone and it's over forever, And, I believe in God and heaven, and I'll, eventually see you on the other side. But this matters too, this life here, and we should appreciate it, appreciate the gift of life enough to respect our own life and respect ourselves in a way where we're not just feeding ourselves trash. physically with shit food and never exercising, but feeding yourself trash spiritually too by consuming evil, entertainment or anything like that. And your responsibility to your loved ones, your wife, your kids, or whatever, would mandate that you do take care of your body. You know what I mean? You have a responsibility to try and be as effective as possible for them. So that's my philosophy on it. I started lifting, when I was 14 or whatever, as a freshman in high school. And I got out of it in my 20s and early 30s, but I got back into it in 2014. I got back into it hardcore, and I've been at it ever since. So it'll be April of this year will be 11 sustained years of me hopefully lifting weights and exercising for the rest of my life, but it'll be on year 11 of having this amazing squat rack, and I do it at home. I don't know about you guys. I don't like the idea of going to the gym just because the time it takes to go to the gym. So I lift right here in my house. It's no excuses. I see that squat rack in my gym every day, right? In my garage every day. So yeah, I get after it at home. I listen to sports radio and I lift weights. That's been a tradition for me going on 11 years now. It was mid-April of 2014. I came home from like a couple days vacation. I'd gone out of town for something. My wife didn't go. I went by myself. And when I got home, there was a squat rack in the gym. So it was awesome. It was a great gift. And something big like that, like, I don't want to assemble this. She paid a guy that a family friend who's like a not construction worker, but he's handy. He owns a great successful painting business. She paid him and some money, and he came over and assembled it and all that. Some family friends. So when I got home, there was a squat rack ready to go. It was hot and ready, like those cheap little Caesar pizzas. So, but yeah, I want you guys all to be medically safe, but exercise for sure. It's so good for your mind and spirit and all that. So, and just being men, like what is the glory of being a man? Is overcoming things. And when you're exercising and you're in that gym and you got the weights and you bring them all the way down and they're so heavy, I always joke that when you're doing a squat and you're all the way to the down position before you have to push back up, there are only two things there when you do that squat: you and the truth. That's it. This is the unvarnished truth about you, who you are, and what you can do. And I think it's outstanding. So let's see. Jack Kirby workout. Lift a pencil. Yeah, you gotta do more than that, Mob Seat. You gotta do more than that, baby. Let's see. Jim Bob. Well, on that note, it's time for me. See you next time. Hey, Jim Bob, we'll see you, baby. Go have a great lift. Get after it, dude. Get after it. Nothing like a good lift. When I got back into it, I remember I was talking to my buddy, my best friend. We, known each other since 4th grade. We're still very close. And I told him I felt different. Said I could feel the call of the drums of war, the blood. I could feel it. And he's like, yeah, it's called having testosterone, dude. And I did what a lot of people did. You're a young man, you're in shape, you're this and that, and then you get lazy. You're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, you're just doing whatever. And you get out of shape because you don't realize, you don't really appreciate that you can't eat and behave like you used to when you were 18, 19, 20, and you keep eating like that and acting like that, and you start to get a little chunky, start to get chunkified, and that ain't great. And then you notice things hurting, and you're probably more prone to injury. And dude, I was a mess there when I was in my early 30s and not in good shape at all. Like I don't have it at all now, but I had sleep apnea, basically like, in my sleep. My wife would tell me that it was like that, and I was fat, dude. Like I was always burly though, like always a big burly guy. So I was like pro wrestler or football player fat, not just doughboy fat who never had muscles. Because I had a ton of muscles when I was younger, but you get fatter, so now you're like a big fat muscular guy. You know what I mean? But not in a good way. And not like a sumo or a offensive lineman where they're fat, but they're pretty athletic. This was fat and not good. I was very unhappy about it. You go to the beach, you take your shirt off, you look like a fucking loaf of shit. It's embarrassing, dude. And I thank God that I have the opportunity to have what I have to exercise, eat good all the time if I want to, and lose the weight and get healthier for me, for my family. And I tell myself I'm worth it. I'm worth the work. I'm worth the sacrifice. Because it's a sacrifice to do that. Because we live in a world now in the West, for sure, but pretty much the whole world. You can have whatever you want, every meal, all day, every day. If I want something, I got a hankering for whatever, I can have it. I live in a major American city, right? San Diego. There's nothing I can't have here, and a good version of it too. I can have an amazing version of any type of cuisine you can imagine, pretty much. I'm sure there's something that's very obscure that'd be hard to find, but you'd be hard pressed. You live in a military port city, everything's here, man. Everything is here. So it's awesome. But yeah, getting out of shape like that was one of the biggest mistakes in my life. But I think we don't judge others, and you shouldn't judge yourself based on your mistakes. You should judge yourself on your reaction to your mistakes. And I think I've recovered from fat Gabe. I've recovered from that. And my heart goes out to anyone out there who is fat right now and hates it and is struggling. It's hard. I heard the comedian Jay Moore, who I love. I've met him a few times. He's a good dude. He talked about being an alcoholic and being overweight, and he struggled with his weight like 10 years ago a lot. He would get fat, he'd get thin, he'd get fat, he'd get thin. And he's like me, like many of you, former athlete, right? He was a big time wrestler and all this stuff, I think in high school, not in college, but in high school. And he said the problem with losing weight versus quitting alcohol is you don't have to drink. You have to eat. You have to eat. You know what I mean? So you have to do the very thing you're trying to control. That's hard. Because if you want to quit alcohol, well, then, get rid of it, right? And don't drink. You do not have to drink. It's not part of human nutrition or anything like that. You do not have to drink alcohol. Now, I have heard a thing. I don't know the science on this, but I've heard some of the most severe alcoholics, and don't quote me on this. I don't know for sure, but I heard someone say it, and I read a news story about it once. Some of the most severe alcoholics, they actually can't just quit drinking. That if they were to quit cold turkey, they could actually die. I didn't know that, and I don't know that I'm accurate about that, but I've heard that. My point is, though, in the general sense, if you want to quit drinking, you can just quit, right? And you don't ever have to drink again once you quit drinking. But food, you have to eat. You have to eat forever. And if food's a challenge for you, you have emotional issues with food, and you didn't feel loved growing up, and the only time you felt happy was food, yeah, that could be an issue. Like many of you, I had a tough childhood because my parents divorced when I was little. And I think my thing with food came from, food is just, a coping strategy. It'd be like drugs or booze or anything. But on my mom's side, we owned a Mexican restaurant and tortilla factory, my grandparents, my mom's parents, and then my dad's a gourmet chef. So both sides of my family, it's the greatest food in the world. It's excellently prepared food. Everyone in my family knows how to make insanely good food. I'm a great cook. My dad's a master cook. I'm an outstanding cook. My mom was a great cook. My grandparents, my brother, we can all cook because this is our culture and our family from both sides. So when you have a turbulent childhood, there's divorce, there's, fighting, this, that, and the other, but you're eating good. Your mom's packing your lunch and it's good. Your dad's packing your lunch and it's gourmet. You're coming home to hot meals. You're going to visit your grandparents. It's delicious. You're having 3 meals a day from your mom, your single mother. Guess when you feel loved? Guess when you feel peace? Guess when you feel joy? Well, you feel it with food. And that's subconsciously happening to you. And then guess how you're going to deal with stress as an adult, right? Or your whole life. The problem is your metabolism gets slower as you get older, right? And you keep eating that way. And I noticed the pattern, I think, in my 30s. And after I noticed it, I felt quite stupid because, like, dude, this is like the most obvious shit in the world. You feel bad and then you run and go eat something. You stress eat, right? So that's where, and it's okay, right? It's okay to have made that mistake. It's not okay to keep making it after you identified it. You're like, oh, this is what I'm doing. I notice that I'm sitting here, whatever happens, and I'm like pancakes. I'm sitting here, I get in an argument or I get some bad news or whatever, and all of a sudden just pancakes pop into my mind. Like, what's that? And you don't think about it. You kind of walk through life sometimes like sleepwalking, not literally, obviously, but and you don't think about it. And then eventually you got to ask yourself, well, what is this thing that pops up like this? Why does this happen to me? Why do I suddenly think about my favorite dishes when I feel upset? And you realize, oh, when I was little, that's when I felt pleasure, joy, relief from stress. It was a dopamine hit, a maladaptive coping strategy. So the food thing goes deep. It isn't just like, because one thing that's annoying as shit is the people that are naturally thin or more well-adjusted mentally about food or whatever, and they just say, "Oh, these fat people just gotta stop eating." Yeah, because anybody wants to be fat, dude. They wake up and say, "You know what? You know what they could use is a few more pounds. You know, they could really use some man tits." Nobody says that. And it's like me being tall, asking you guys why you can't dunk a basketball. It's just stupid. And there are these people, they're so fucking annoying. They're naturally thin people. And let's call a spade a spade. American food culture, if you're thin, it's a lot of it's going to be your genetics. Like the way the food, the GMO stuff that makes you fat. A lot of that, I hate to say, is you're not earning that. And that's okay. I'm tall. I didn't earn that either. But to sit there and be judgy with people, like, that you can look this up. This is a fact, scientific fact. Caloric consumption, how much people are eating, has not increased in 30 years in America. Americans now, they're fatter than ever, and they're not eating more than ever. They're eating the same amount of food they ate 30 years ago into the 90s. Yet the obesity has skyrocketed. Well, if they're not eating more and they're just getting so much fatter, then it has to be the food. It must be. You can look this up. I'm not Google. I'm not looking it up for you. I'd say Grok. Don't look up anything with Google. Look it up with Grok. It's so much better. But caloric consumption actually has not increased in over 30 years. That means it's not the people. The people did not change their culture. The people did not suddenly become way bigger pigs who eat way more than ever suddenly. That's not what's going on. There's something up with the food. And hopefully this RFK guy is not sabotaged by the powers that be that want to keep it going because it makes them a lot of money or whatever to feed people absolute garbage poison. So hopefully he's able to get things done. But I do think I'm a little leery of them outlawing this, that, and the other. Because just think, if he sets the precedent where we outlaw something that isn't out and out poison, like high fructose corn syrup is very bad for people. But to me, that's on the edge of, well, I can just choose not to drink that. I don't need it illegal because Chef Andrew Gruel pointed out on Twitter this morning, if he does that, then when it's a leftist turn to be in charge of Health and Human Services, they'll outlaw steak. And you get his meaning, maybe not literally, but like, oh, I could see this going in the left wing way, where they're like, well, I think this is bad because cow farts are destroying the earth or whatever. So you outlawed soda, so I'm going to outlaw cow farts. And then we start moving away from freedom because RFK is not going to make you healthy. Okay. You are going to make you healthy. It's your responsibility. Like, he's not going to brush your teeth. He's not going to comb your hair. This is your job. That's nobody else's job. That's your job to do for yourself. So I'm a little leery of too much government intervention. If something is out and out poison, like, oh, food coloring, red 5 or whatever. Wasn't that Luke Skywalker's handle in A New Hope? Some out and out poison, sure, outlaw it. But if it's just like, hey, you can't have a 23-ounce Slurpee, no, you can't outlaw giant Slurpees. You can't outlaw Big Macs that are just, oh, you can't have a triple Big Mac. That's against the law. It can only be a double. I'm not in favor of that. That to me, that's stupid. You gotta at some point have some self-discipline, some self-respect. The government cannot hold your hand for all of this, So there shouldn't be glass powder in the food. That should be illegal. But hey, if you want to eat 4 Big Macs, that's going to be your problem. It really is. And I don't think that should be illegal. We're getting away from freedom there, and we're getting into the nanny state and authoritarianism. And go read a history book. Tell me when that ever turned out great. So, all right. Is it just about noon? Because I got an errand I got to run. Is it? Oh, well, I got a lot done here. I drew that Tyrus there touching his head. I drew Cindy there. They're conferring about something you don't need to know just yet. You're going to want this book when it's ready. And there we go. And I drew this statue of a mountain lion. You'll see what that's all about because it's very exciting. Guys, hit the like, hit the share. Go to bigmancomics.com. Get a first printing of Dean Cain All-American Lawman. Got about 200 of those left. And follow me on X. I'm Big Man Comics. Here on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, I'm Gabe Eltaeb. And you see how to spell it right over there. Eltaeb. E as in Eddie, B as in boy. The E and the B are flipped from normal English words because it's an Arabic word. And I will talk to you guys later. Hopefully, we'll get Matthew Marsden on soon. We had to cancel Friday. He had a last minute thing he had to do in the Blaze television show or web program. And I guess that's it. Have a great day. Tyrus and Empyrean coming up. We got some great contract talks going with some of this stuff. Later.